Good afternoon, my subscriber, my followers, my viewers. That's right, you. I'm talking to you. Morning Sky, Senior Silver Chatty Sky. That's right, me coming at you to do another video. Why? Because I enjoy doing these. That's the one main, most important reason I enjoy doing them. And I hope you enjoy your time with me as well. My story today, what I want to talk about, well, being that Mother's Day is nearing uh, next weekend, I believe, I thought it would be fitting and fun and, what's the word I want? Just fitting, I guess, for me to something I'd like to do. Talk about my mother. Now, some of the stories, little stories I'm going to share are a little challenging, and they were when they were happening, but how we got through them and different things that led into the feelings and the emotions that, you know, made the story. So anyway, yeah, let's talk about my mom. Well, my mom is one of eight. She had, seven other siblings. Um, her mother died when she was very young, just a toddler. So she didn't have strong memories of her mother to pass along to any one of us who, growing up may have asked a question. There wasn't a lot, just a few pictures and that. Uh, Her father and mother probably married young. I'm not sure. And they must have. And then uh, they, I believe, kind of must have had like a little farm or something. I understand he was a farmer, kind of a poor farmer, and there was eight of them. And then when the his wife, my mother's mother, my grandmother, passed, giving birth to the eighth child shortly thereafter, I understand. Um, the father, had to seek help. He couldn't house and feed them all and care for them, uh, and he needed help, like from the state or any kind of sources that were available to help, like welfare. Okay, so I think with that, some of the, not the oldest one, I don't believe, but my mother was, I believe, fourth or fifth in line, and so a lot of them, a good six of them or seven of them had to go uh, to like an orphanage, but not necessarily to be adopted, just to be cared for, like fostered. And I guess that's what they did back then. And I understand, and I have very little knowledge, so I'm just running on stories that I remember being told when I was young. So I could be saying or telling the story wrong, but it's all that I remember and what I know. And many of them have passed. So it would be difficult to go back and ask those questions because they're all gone. So anyway, the orphanage, I understand, was in somewhere in New Hampshire, and that it was run by nuns, and very strict nuns, I understand too. I think they were even somewhat harsh, and I've heard the word mean used to describe some of their behavior, to specifically to my mother and her, and then the one who came after her, Clara, the two girls. I think the nuns were a little harsh on them, and they might have been harsh on some of her brothers as well. I really don't know. I'm kind of guessing. But they had to go there till their early teen years, and then they went back to live with their father for a while, and then pretty much out on their own. So my mom was more or less out on her own, as a young teen, and just looking for love and attention, and that's kind of where her story began, as far as the taking off point and having babies and children, and she was just a baby herself, more or less. So you got babies having babies, and you know what that leads to. You can't, you're not in the right mindset uh, to care for them, and so uh, that obviously trickles down to some challenging years ahead for the little ones, and that's exactly what happened in my mother's case. And so she had three as a very young teenager woman, and then several years after those three were just little guys, she met my father, and then she got pregnant with uh, my brother, and then shortly thereafter, a year or two, a few months later, she had a set of twins, and she still wasn't married to my father as yet. But then now she's pregnant for me another year later, because there was no birth control. So, and that's when they, went and got married and really became a full couple. So anyway, I'm the youngest of four from that scenario with my father, and she met my father. And so the first three that she ended up more or less signing them over to a foster type couple who was caring for them, babysitting for them during the day anyway, while my mom was out seeking work and this and that. So um, they all went to the state of the courts, and it was agreed upon. And my father didn't really want to feed three extras anyway when he had the three of us, and I'm on my way. So that's how the first three went off to live with other people, and we really, the four of us kids, didn't really know them or see much of them in our early childhood years. It wasn't till our adult years that my mom made it a strong effort to, when they moved back up here, a couple of them, uh, and my mom made a strong point to have us all gather and meet one day so that we would know them and would establish important relationships with our half siblings. So anyway, that's the early story without getting into real detail. But I kept a few little notes to refer to so that I can remember to tell some of the things that I want to say about my mother. Now, knowing that, that's setting the stage for my mom was married to my father for 13 challenging and tumultuous years. Wasn't the best marriage. He liked the bottle, and he was a womanizer. He was a handsome man, and he could draw, the attention of the ladies, and he ran with it. And my mom was a beautiful woman as well, and she could draw the attention of good-looking men too. So they both had some stories to tell and challenges along the way with all of that. So, uh, like I said, it's a wonder they even lasted 13 years, I guess. But so I was about 13 when they divorced and stuff. So anyway, with that, one knew if you met my mom that she was a strong woman strong-willed, uh, funny, fun to be around, liked people, liked having fun and a good time, smart. When she put her mind to really learning something, she was all in and got the job done, you know. Um, a halfway decent cook. She wasn't one to make desserts and that, but she could make you a really nice Sunday dinner on a budget, you know, for just a few dollars. And I have fond memories of her Sunday dinners and her pork dinners and her roasted chicken with stuffing dinners and gravy. And it was a strong matter for her that we all gather on Sunday, no matter what we were all doing or where we were. If we could come about and gather for Sunday dinner, that was important to her, and she made sure as much as she could that that happened over the years, and we looked forward to that. I did, I know, and I'm sure my sister and brothers did too when they were around. I mean, early on, my older brother, he joined a commune. That was kind of the trending in the 60s, and he did that, so we didn't see a lot of him. And then my other brother followed, the one who was twin with my sister. So the boys were gone early on, more or less. But I mean, we still, you know, she still carried those traditions, I guess, if you want to call them that, you know. So anyway, my mom, she didn't really have a high school diploma given her history, you know, and having children so young in life and everything. So she never finished high school, but later in life, she, through the school system and through the welfare system, she did go back and get her GED and take those tests, and that was important to her, and she did do that, and she liked learning about things. Um, Life after death type of stories and things fascinated her. She liked learning all about that, and other planets and alien things, and you know, the big question mark, you know, how we got here and what we're all about were important to her. She liked some of that stuff, as we do. I do, and so and she knew the Bible pretty well for someone who didn't, you know, necessarily attend church every Sunday or, like I said, finish high school. She could tell you parts of the Bible pretty spot on, and she knew that pretty well. Yeah. So anyway, and she was good to us overall. The four of us, I feel lucky and blessed that, you know, it's almost like were we the chosen ones, because the first three didn't really get that. The boy, the oldest, her firstborn, did come, Jackie, Vern, he did come and live with us over the summer, so we got to know him. Handsome kid. They were all nice looking kids. And so we did get to know him, but the two girls, there was Cheryl and Betsy Lou, we didn't get to know them as much until we were older. And even more so Cheryl than Betsy Lou. Because of distance, and she was living down in Texas and then Florida and this and that, a couple other places. So we can't say that we knew her uh, over the years. But mom was a good mom, and you know, did what she could, and took care of us like she was supposed to, you know. So anyway, like I said, with Mother's Day approaching, I just felt a good time to talk about my mom. Oh, and this is my mom. This is her in her 20s. I made this little box. I took a photo of her. Uh, um, so, uh, you know, she actually sat like in a photographer's studio and had this picture taken. So I made a black and white, and then I crafted this little box from it. And there's like tulle netting over her face, but Isn't she beautiful? This is a button from her button box. That's my mom. Irene. Her name was Irene. Yeah, so pretty. Kind of Loretta Lynn, Jackie Kennedy kind of beauty. Sometimes she looked like Lucille Ball, really with her hair up. Sometimes I mean there was a lot of famous people that she looked like, she resembled. Yeah, really pretty lady. Just beautiful. Her whole family, the men and the women, good looking people. And my father's side too. Yeah. So anyway, that's my mom, Irene. So uh, Dr. Phil, in a lot of his shows, he speaks fondly and quite frequently about how we learn our place in the family. You know, if you're the middle child, there's challenges and the good and the bad that come along with that position where you fall in the family. I'm the youngest, so there's those things that go with being the youngest. There's things that go with being the oldest. And then the in between kids, you know, kind of get left behind or whatever. I mean, you can look at all of that and it rings so true to many, many families. And Dr. Phil speaks that we learn our place, you know. So if you watch his shows and he say he's got a show where it's all about, you know, a challenging child within that family, well, it's not just that child's fault. You've got to look at the whole family dynamics as to what's going on that has molded and shaped that child to feel and do the things it's doing. Not that that's a free pass to behavior, no, but you can allow for some degree the knowledge and the challenges, you know, your knowledge of what's going on and the challenges that go with that. Yeah, yeah, if I'm making any sense. So, me being the youngest of this four, seven total, but the four that I grew up with, my actual siblings, you know, same mother, same father. Um, I was more the quieter one overall. I was taking a lot in though. My mother always said that she's listening and she's taking it all in. And she used to say, "Still water runs deep." That was me. And you know, you can read between the lines and all of that. I was all ears. And later on in years, I have remembered a lot of stuff to tell the stories, right? So growing up, and we were all so close in age, she had my brother John in February of 1951. That same December of 1951, she has twins, Tessie and Timmy, not identical, twins. And she didn't know she was having twins till she's delivering, and the doctor told her, "Take a deep breath, you've got another one in there." And then I come a whole year later in January of 1953. She said she used to make one big bowl of maple and, you know, line us all up. I believe that. So anyway, because we were so close in age, we were close. You know, like my sister was like my best friend over the years, but we were also very different. Kind of day and night. My sister was beautiful, like my mother, beautiful chiseled features, long legs, could turn heads, and she knew it. And my brothers are handsome guys, and just yeah, just So my sister and I shared a bedroom over the years. That's the way it was. One double bed, and and the boys kind of the same thing too. They shared a room, and because it was easier as far as finding housing and stuff before they actually had their own homes and stuff. My parents. So anyway, um, my sister was always a bit slender than me. I was the chubby one, and so I want to tell a story of something, a situation that took place with my mother and my sister and me, and how it made me feel. And it's a strong memory because to this day, um, the feelings I still get stirred by the story and the emotions. So anyway, I'm about, I want to say 12, 12, and my sister is about 13. And we're living up the Mohawk Trail. My parents owned and operated a restaurant, a pizza and beer restaurant. And most of the customers were nearby, people who lived nearby, people who worked in the apple orchards right nearby, right up and back of the restaurant. So we got a lot of the locals, the apple pickers, and anybody living in that area, would stop in the afternoon for their daily beer and conversation. So the bar was really like a Cheers. It really was. I mean, you could pretty much point to the chair where certain people that came in daily were gonna sit, in this one. And it started out a full meal restaurant, but they quickly, within the first 6 to 8 months, changed it up to a pizza and beer and light sandwiches like a hamburger or something like that, but mostly pizza and beer. And they would sell the big pitchers of beer and stuff. And so us kids would help make pizzas in the kitchen and that too. And of course, with that, they were so busy that pizzas and soda became our main supper diet a good 3 to 5 days out of 7 through the week. We're eating pizza for supper. And my sister and I got so, my parents would make the big pizzas, and the boys would split one, and us girls would split one. So we're eating about 4 slices of pizza at one meal. So yeah, I got chubby. My sister didn't. She as much. She was, I don't know, different metabolism or whatever. But I was putting weight on, and it was summer time, and the fall was approaching. School would be approaching soon. So let's say it's the month of July. And the Sears catalog comes in the mail. And who back then, and if you grew up in this era that I did, born in 53, so I'm 10 years old and 63, do the math, those years you would get the Sears catalog or the J.C. Penney catalog sent to your home, big, thick, and everybody, especially the girls, teenage girls, look forward to that because you could look through there and get an idea of the trends. And there wasn't a lot of that on the TV, not necessarily, with commercials and that clothing and fashion, not like the world is today with the social media and, Instagram and Facebook and all that. I mean, we can watch just YouTube. We can watch just about anything and see fashion and trends and this and that. But back then, there wasn't any of that. So you really looked forward to your home catalog. So my sister and I are looking through it, and my sister fell in love with this cranberry shift cotton, plain neck, round neck, long sleeves, right down the front of it, dark cranberry, but right down the front of it was about a 4 inch or 5 inch strip of beautiful lace right down the front, very stylish, very trendy, very what's fashionable for a young teenage girl to show up at school in or go to a high school dance and things like that. Perfect little dress. And so she approaches my mom and asks my mom if she would order that for her for school, for the first day of school, because we always got at least one new outfit every year. You could look forward to that, and a pair of shoes. Not high end, expensive Walmart, or back then it would have been Mammoth Mart, King's, Ames, those kind of stores, or Sears, or JCPenney. So she kind of put it off a little bit and said, we'll think about that one. Well, a few days pass, and my sister asks her again, and she does. She lets her order this dress. So I'm sitting there watching all this happen, and I'm thinking, well, I want one too. Can I get one too? No, we're gonna wait a little bit. We're gonna wait for that. Well, I'll get to you. We're gonna wait. Wait for what? Well, in her mind, and I get it, I guess, she was waiting for me to maybe go the remainder of December and maybe lose a few pounds. I know that's what it was. I was so hurt by that and so PO'd. I am telling you, mad. And I'm quiet, but when something gets me boiling, I stew, and I stew for days. That got me mad. I went in my room and slammed the door, and I cried over that one for days. Nobody seemed to care either. That hurt me so bad on many levels. Number one, I felt compared and not good enough. Why, as a parent, would you buy for one daughter and not the other when they're only a year apart? I don't care what size, shape, or color they are. Why would you do that? To this day, it pisses me off. And I know there were situations with my two brothers, too, that I really believe, and I have to say it, whoever's watching this, a family, I don't believe family watch my videos anyway. I haven't told too many people, but anyway, if you are, you just got to hear me out, because I believe my mother favored my older brother Johnny because he was so talented in music, and he still is, and I get that to a degree. I understand. I try to be open-minded and understand the whys. My sister was more attractive than I was, showed far more potential in that department, and the looks, I guess. So a promise of, I don't know what my mother was feeling or saw, but yes, I get it. I will even say that. And over the years, I got okay with that because, again, you learn your place. But I wasn't okay with the unfairness of some things, if I'm making any sense. I was so hurt by that. Like I said, number one, I felt fat and unworthy, um, not good enough, not important enough. Um, looked down upon, I guess. I mean, the whole thing just made me feel horrible. And I remember going back and asking my mom, either that day when it all happened or the next day, and she more or less shrugged it off, like, get over it. We'll be getting you something, but I'm just going to wait a little bit. And so then the dress comes 7 or 8 days later in the mail. This gorgeous, even prettier in person than it was in the catalog. Crisp, dark cranberry, cotton shift dress. Perfect for school that year. Perfect for going to a high school dance or something. Perfect for showing other kids that you got style and fashionable. Just perfect. Fit her nice. And she was, showing it all off. And it just kept hitting me like someone stabbing me with a knife. What you feel? To this day, it bothers me. So anyway, weeks pass. Summer's moving right along. It's the day before school. We took a bus. So no one had taken me shopping for any school clothes. I had nothing. And my mom knew that. So it's the day before, and she figures out she's going to get me something. So she gets just me and her in the car. That's all I remember. I don't remember anybody else being with us. There's a fly flying around here. I'm in my daughter's room upstairs. It's a pretty, it's a moth, flesh-colored room that she did over a year or so ago. It's really nice. And I don't know why I don't do videos from up here. It's quiet, and I got my cat right there. See if I can show you my cat. Frankie. Hi, Frankie. Hi, baby. Say hi, everybody. That's her cat, too. I get all her stuff. We love the cat, though. Her boyfriend wasn't really into cats, and he was getting a dog, and now it's another dog. So she had been with us before for months. So it was up to Kennedy, though, my granddaughter, and she did agree to let us have her. And I couldn't be more grateful. She has really blessed us with sweetness. She's a good cat. So anyway, day before, she takes me and we go down the trail, down the mountain, into the town of Greenfield. And over into the village of Turner's Falls, where you see me ride a lot in my videos. I'm going to the village of Turner's Falls for my meds and that, because I use the Walgreens there. But anyway, and it's just me, like I said, and she takes me to, back then, it was Rockdale. And let's see. Everybody back then knew of Rockdale. It was on the river, and it was a big warehouse. They had an annex to building, and you could go in there, and like it was like your first ever bigger department stores, like your the Baby, the Preemie, let's say, the precursor to the bigger stores that we see now, the Walmarts and stuff. Rockdale was kind of, like I said, all departments, tools, clothing, shoes, and upstairs bric-a-brac, had everything. And yet this particular day, she took me to the women's, teens, whatever, clothing area, but it was picked over, and there wasn't much going on, folks, except this god awful old lady looking dress in red, bright red cotton. I'll never forget it. It had elastic at the waist, about 5 buttons right from the waist up, plastic red buttons with buttonholes, so you buttoned it. A little round collar, okay, the round collar. Little shorts, plain sleeves, and then it just skirted down to my knees. Looked like a dress you'd see on an older lady. I kid you not. And I could tell my mom was tired and wanting to get back home. We'd been looking and there wasn't much going on that fit me or, was my size and all that. So she kept coming back to this red dress and had me try it on and that. It wasn't, I'm making it out worse, and it wasn't putrid kind of a dress, no, but it wasn't certainly, it couldn't match the shift dress that my sister had. Um, I gave in to her and I let her buy it because I could tell she was getting impatient, wanted to get out of there, get home. We'd spent enough time there and there wasn't much going on there. So this was the dress. And I didn't really speak up much to my mother. I just let it be for the most part. So she buys this dress for me, a little white ankle socks and some penny loafers. That was my new wardrobe to wear to school. Embarrassed as hell. And then given that, it got washed and worn 2 or 3 times every week for the first part of school year till the winter came and we got a little bit warmer clothes or whatever. But that was my going back to school outfit. Yeah, that was a proud moment, right? Really, folks. That's one thing I get I question. I don't know if I get annoyed but I question. I mean, there were thrift stores back then. There was Salvation Army stores back then. I know there was. Or my mom could have just put the word out there more to my aunts and uncles who had, maybe some kids' clothes from their kids, hand me down, pass me down. I mean, something where we could have had some better stuff. Once in a while, I remember getting bags of clothes from people, but not too often. Never ever had a warm winter coat that I can remember till I started earning my own money and bought my own for anything really. I mean, we had very little. You go to our cupboards and closets, I'm telling you, the closets were bare. You'd see empty hangers. We did not have hardly anything. And what we did have, you had to wear it repeatedly. Keep it clean, wash it. But I mean, you wore that in and out, backwards and forwards. You wore it to school. Those were your outfits. Figure it out. Yeah. And that's pretty much the way it was. And I just don't know why she didn't put a little more effort into making sure we had a little more clothing, warm coats, and even warm bedding. The blanket on my bed for years was paper thin. I am not kidding you. I mean, things like that, I just wish she had, just, thought, open, or maybe she was too proud. I don't know, but we really went without a lot. We really did. Yeah. And you didn't ask. You knew better. I mean, it was just going to be a big argument and a big no. We can't do it. Like I said, going back to I couldn't be a brownie. I wanted to be a brownie so bad. They couldn't scrounge up a little money in the cookie jar to let me be a brownie. No, it wasn't happening. And back then, and that's probably why they stopped it. But back then, that was, you were stereotyped. That was, you were judged, and that was a big deal. If you weren't a brownie, then yeah, you were the poor kid because your parents couldn't afford it, and that's exactly. There was two or three of us left in the room that couldn't go down to this other room every Wednesday to be and wear our brownie outfits. So guess what? You were stereotyped, most definitely. Yeah. So anyway, that's that story. I eventually got over it, I guess, but to this day, it makes my blood boil as far as that should not have happened. I don't care. Buy me something. If you couldn't or didn't want to buy me a dress, buy me something. A blouse or, a pair of shorts for the summer, even. But you could have bought me something just to make it equal or even. Most of the time she did. I'm not going to, I mean, my sister would get a skirt, let's say, and it'd be one color, and I'd get one in the same print, same style, but another color. She did a lot of that. Um, and same with the boys, but um, yeah, just I could never quite figure that one out, and it hurt bad. It hurt deeply. So with that, I'm going to move on to another story. Now I'm married, and um, chubby. I had my babies, and I really didn't lose all the baby weight, so I've gained some pounds, and I'm probably look like I do now because I gained a little. My weight's up this past winter, and hoping to get some of it off this spring, which I usually do because I'm active with the pool and my garden bed. Anyway, so I'm married, but I'm middle aged. Let's see, I want to say, you know, mid to later 30s and getting into my 40s, somewhere in those years. And my mom used to love to go to bingo and play bingo down in the Athol Orange, Mass area. And she would go to the Orange Armory. They held a bingo every Sunday night, but we would leave about 4:30ish to get down there, get your table, get your cards, and get set up. And she did this for years, and us girls looked forward to going with her. But my sister would go pretty much every Sunday with her. That was a given. They would go. I didn't go all the time because, I'm married with the little kids, and money was tight. So to play bingo was kind of an extra little that I had to plan for. So I might have gone maybe once a month with them, but not every Sunday. So, but I liked it. I looked forward to going with them when we could. And sometimes my ex would come too. And those were some of the fun nights. We would have fun at times. But anyway, so this particular Sunday, I go with them, and I'm really looking forward to it. And so my mom would drive. She would drive her car, and she would pick us up. So they would come from the Greenfield area, pick up my sister on Maple Street, and my mom lived over on near Church Street. Anyway, in back of the post office there, and she'd swing over and get my sister on Maple, and then over the mountain and come get me and Turner's, and then we would get on Route 2 and head to the Orange Apple. So we do that, and now I'm really feeling depressed a little bit about my weight, because the ex probably said something or made me feel a little unworthy. didn't feel quite as pretty or as attractive as my sister or my mother, probably. So I knew that, but I always had my hair and makeup done nice and my clothing. I mean, I learned from the best, I guess. So we always made sure we were well groomed and everything, clean clothes, and So they pick me up, we go, and we get there, and it's early on, we're just setting up, and my mom knew a lot of the people there. She had, met a lot of people just from going there, and you meet people and friends and acquaintances. So this lady came over and said hello to her, and they were chit chatting. And I remember my mother saying to her, "Oh my goodness, you've lost so much weight. Wow, you look great," and this and that. And that was nice. And the lady leaves, and then so my mother starts telling us two girls as to who this lady is and was, and um, she uses the words, "Oh my God, she was really big. And she was as big as you are now, Renee." That's Renee, they call me Renee, Maureen, Renee. Having gone the week or the month feeling unworthy, my weight was one of the first things on my mind, trying to think about getting some weight off, tackling that, not feeling worthy, probably um, around my ex with my added weight. Um, just that was first and foremost. My weight was always a factor, and if you if you are one or have been one who knows what I'm talking about, yeah, you do know, because weight is your whole world, your whole emotion set, your whole mindset when you're the overweight one. And it's been that way for years, and it just seems to be mushrooming and growing with you, and you've got this problem that you just can't beat, and it's with you. It's like a growth or a barnacle. It's with you all the time. It's ever present. Weight. So if you're sensitive to it, as I was a sensitive person to begin with, on any issue, especially more the personal ones, very sensitive. So a comment like that, I wasn't having it from my mother or anybody. And I bottled up. My eyes got big. My mother knew it. I didn't speak to her or my sister or anybody else for that matter for days. Didn't speak to her during the rest of the bingo. Threw down my bingo chips and pounced on my dabber the whole rest of the night. Wouldn't engage in conversation with him. I let my mother know in my demeanor how pissed off I was on that comment. Well, they got me home. I slammed that car door and went in the house. My mother called the next day or so to apologize, and I wouldn't speak to her on the phone. I picked up the phone, probably said hello, and that was it. Wouldn't respond, wouldn't talk back, probably hung up. This went on for a few days. And finally, she comes over because my mom would try to visit like once a week, like Saturdays mostly she'd come, or one of those days of the weekend. She'd come over for a visit, a coffee visit. And so she comes over, and she's got a little gift bag too. And we talk a little bit, and I finally open up and let her talk to me and apologize. And she says to me, Irene, I have to tell you, when I said those words, I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't. I wasn't thinking about how much that would hurt you. I didn't realize the sensitivity of the issue, weight, and 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 how much it is it affects you. I did not realize, and I'm very deeply sorry, because the last thing I wanted to do was hurt you or ruin your night, or we were having fun, we were all together, and I love you. I love you unconditionally. I love you, you know, and I know you're struggling. I know, with things, and your weight is one of them, and I'm deeply sorry, and I hope you accept my apology. And I did. I loved her. I told her I loved her too, and that you have to understand it is a sensitive issue for me. It has been for quite some time, all my life, but more so lately. Maybe the way my ex was making me feel too with it, because his family was would let his mother would let you know too if you weren't you know looking perfect or whatever. So anyway, we got through it, and I apologize for my behavior too, but in the bag, this is what she brought me. Just a little knickknack. Probably cost her, oh, $5.95. It's still on the back of it. She got it in a little gift shop. Flowers of Dusty. For all the things you are, I love you. From my mother. And I know I was loved by her. We were all loved by her individually. We were all unique to her. And I know that. I know that. And I felt that. I felt loved by her. Um, and she overall was a good mom, for what she knew and how she grew up with, she didn't get no rule book thrown at her. Neither one of them did, my father or my mother. And they weren't perfect. And they had their own set of idiosyncrasies and challenges, just as much as any one of us. Yeah. My mom loved to play the guitar, and she's the one who taught my brother the first few chords on a rhythm guitar. And she used to play Johnny Cash, I Walk the Line. Yeah. And she could sing good too. She could yodel. My mom could yodel. She could sing a nice tune for you. She had a good voice. Yeah. So anyway, folks, that's and so then my another story that irked the heck out of me and was like my mother didn't really have my back was a teenager. So in between the first story and this last story I just told, because I was more of an adult with my own children in that story. So this story I'm going to tell, we were teenagers, my sister and I. Older, the parents had left the trail, duck pond restaurant, and divorced, and I'm living with my mother and my sister and one of my brothers in Greenfield in an apartment. And I have my own job and I'm making my own money. So any money I earned, I immediately went and bought clothes with it because we had nothing. So I had just bought a pair of white denim jeans, which were trendy back then, and a cute little top. The tags were still on. I had not even worn this outfit yet. I just brought it home like the day prior. and like say a Friday night, and this is say Saturday, and I'm off with a friend or doing something, I'm not home, and I come home to look for these clothes, and they're not there where I put them. I get my girlfriend who had a car to take me downtown because I had a hunch my sister is wearing my newly purchased outfit. And I was right. We found her, and she's in my clothes. I was boiling, to say the least. Had a few words with her. She didn't think it was that big a deal. Kidding me? And I get home. My sister's not home yet. Still gallivanting downtown in my clothes. I tell my mother, and I'm boiling, and she's not getting it. She didn't think that that's such a big deal and get over it. She never gave my sister the rightful hell, the backlash that she needed. She really didn't come down on her that much, and I thought it was horrible. Horrible. I wanted to rip those clothes off her so damn fast. I was pissed. And not only that, but go get your own job. Go earn your own money and buy your own clothes. I swear I did for everybody else. I swear to God. Yeah. Didn't really see a problem there. Knew that it was wrong, but I'll get over it. I'll talk to her. Yeah, you'll talk to her. Yeah, that went over big. She just, my mother did, in a sense, favor my sister and my older brother of the four of us. I believe that because at Christmas time, my brother, who the musical one there, he would get like a speaker or he got a guitar once that had to be, and we got a sweater and boots. I got a sweater and boots. I don't know. It just seemed like my sister would get a little bit better things, or not always, but or just like I said, my mom never really got mad at her like I wanted her to. I never quite figured that out. How would you feel? That frosted my buns. So then I started really hiding my clothes. I think I bought a padlock, put them there with them, or put the padlock on my side of the closet or something. I did something so that wasn't happening again. Yeah. Anyway, so I told the bingo game, the Sears catalog, Tessie wearing my clothes, learning our place in the family. But yeah, but here we are. And I loved my mom, and I wouldn't have wanted a different mom. I just wish that, I wish that she had told more stories of her upbringing so that I'd really have the facts for sure, kind of thing. When I did question her a couple of times over the years as to, how one could have babies, children, and get attached to them as a parent. They weren't just newborn babies that she gave up. They were toddlers. They knew her. They bonded with her. They were 2 and 3 years old when she gave them up. And I remember saying to her, Mom, I don't understand that. This is after I had children too. I could not do that. I could not give my babies up. How did you cope with that? How did you do that? And she said to me, you have to understand the times, Maureen. You have to understand it was happening all around us. Her sisters did it. She has sisters that did the same thing. And it was the thing to do. If you couldn't take care of them, then the one who was doing the best in the family might have gotten stuck with them. Oh yes. And they brought them in to care for them. That's how in many families back then. But this was more that once she met my father as still a young woman, and she didn't have the full education or the nurturing that you know it wasn't there. The foundation wasn't there. So in her mind, and what made sense was to let these other people who wanted them evidently to finish caring for them. They had started. They've been doing it. Um, she's got more babies to feed, more mouths to feed. It's right after the depression. She said, we had nothing, Marie. There was no birth control. And she said, um, I had your father to contend with. I had your brother and the twins and you, all real, infants. And then I've got these other three toddlers that your father did not necessarily want to be a part of. He wasn't big on it. And I was in love with him. And we fought about it. And he forced her, more or less, I guess, to give those kids up and let somebody else care for them. And we'll deal with the four we've got. And I understand she had a miscarriage after me. Can you imagine? Different times. Different times, folks. Not that that gives that pass go either, but I did understand it better. And she would write letters to send to the kids, and the letters would get sent back. Yep. And she cried a lot. My mom cried in secret. I saw her many a time crying. And it was when those letters would come back. And yeah, so that could not have been easy for her. And I know it wasn't, because the day that my half sister Cheryl, now a grown woman in her 50s or whatever, and she's got had kids of her own and everything all grown up, came back to Keene, New Hampshire, my mother made sure all of us got dressed up nice that day and went with her, and we went and found them in Keene and visited them and got to meet her kids and all of them on that day. And that was important to my mother. So, yeah, that's my story. And so with that, I loved my mom. She was a good mom overall. Good night, Irene. So I got some fake flowers here. I love them. Queen Anne's face. You need a good bath. These are for you, Mom. I love you. Rest in peace. It's okay. I get it, I think. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And if you're watching and you've got a mother, go do something nice and special for her this Mother's Day. I know you will. And I'm going to go. Until we meet again, I certainly hope the universe provides. I truly do. Thank you now. Bye-bye.